Big Muff boosting. Everyone does it because this is a well-known fact. They've been told to boost a Big Muff or they'll get lost in the mix or something. And actually on rare occasions where you actually need to boost, there's a big debate going on whether you should put your overdrives before or after Big Muff. In this video I'm gonna explain why you should use your Big Muff alone for most of David Gilmour's Big Muff tones. Let's start. I'm gonna give you a little secret. You don't need to boost your Big Muff and you don't need to invest in new pedals. What you have is already enough. I am dead sure about this. The question remains though, why my Big Muff sound thin or muddy or whatever? I'm using overdrive with it like I've been told. Isn't this what we're supposed to do? Well, no. Like I explained in many of my videos, you don't have to use what Gilmour uses to sound like Gilmour. And funny enough, David Gilmour doesn't boost his Big Muff that often, and we'll get to them too. First of all, let's hear how Big Muff sounds with and without boosting, before boosting, after boosting. Let's hear a couple of sound clips and you'll see everything you need to know in the screen. I mean, which one do you think sound close to David Gilmour's general Big Muff sounds? And be honest with me. We can talk more about this down below. I love talking to you guys, and you can just share your opinions with me too. Now, I'm gonna give you a list of when you should use overdrive after Big Muff, like David Gilmour did. Gdansk tones, and that. And to be honest, even for that, you don't need to boost your overdrive if you're using EQ or if you have a versatile Big Muff pedal like I'm gonna show you. And no, this video is not sponsored. I hate to break it to you, but David Gilmour never ever used his tube driver after Big Muff, I mean pairing them, other than Gdansk and on an island tour. You could use an overdrive before your Big Muff to get a little nastier, a little sharper, maybe a little bit present sound, like David Gilmour may have done in Paulk's tour, and we're not totally sure about that either, at least on which songs. But even that's not necessary because you don't use 4 high watt heads like 100 watts and 2 spare of them and a custom made Doppler 50 speaker. It's insanely hot, and before I talk about this Big Muff boosting fad that everyone's talking about, let me tell you how you can learn on an island and almost every pick from a David Gilmour song at my Patreon with premium tutorials and tabs and backing tracks. Hundreds and hundreds of people are already at my Patreon learning everything, and we're gonna finish everything, bootlegs, rare ones, live ones, everything David Gilmour ever did. And we have tons and tons of tone guides, pedal alternatives, pedal settings, amp settings. I'm giving you sound clips too, pedal by pedal, so you can see how each pedal reacts to any pedal. Just check the link pinned down below. We're doing Comfortably Numb Delicate Sound of Thunder 6.5 minutes solo, the most uncut version of all. It's like 4th or 5th version of Comfortably Numb. Yes, we're on other versions too. Let's continue with this video now. Okay, so where does this boosting come from then? Well, in the darker days, when I wasn't around, I'm just kidding, of course, people seem to crack the code of Big Muffs. They have been using one of the worst sounding Big Muffs, in my opinion, that silver box thing, the red one, whatever it is, trying to pair a tube screamer because it's mid-rangey, because you need a mid-range for your Big Muff to not get lost in the mix. I mean, something like that, to make the sound a little bit more bearable. I love this getting lost in the mix. Electric guitar is one of the most important instruments in rock history, and you're gonna get lost in the mix? I mean, come on, I mean, if you're using the right settings on your amp and right settings on your pedal, if you're using pedals, you're not gonna get lost in the mix. You do sound bad with Big Muffs and you're trying to use a tube screamer or an overdrive to not get lost in the mix. You're trying to sound a little bit better and it's not working either. I have the worst English probably, I'm sorry if I'm confusing you guys. Truth is, you're not using the right Big Muff, at least not the right settings on them. And let's face it, I mean, it wasn't that easy to get a good Big Muff because Electro Harmonix started doing the reissues for the last decade or so, and good clones of Big Muffs were, I mean, they weren't that available. People were stuck with second-hand, maybe old, maybe broken Big Muff units. I mean, that's my assumption, of course. I might be wrong, and I'm probably wrong too. And they were trying to make it work at their home. which is, I mean, understandable. And I understand, and I really do. I understand that sometimes you need to use overdrive after your big muff too, like Gdansk tones, like I mentioned. David Gilmour actually used tube drivers after his big muffs on Gdansk and on an island tour. It's got that muddy and darker sound to it that a big muff cannot do on its own very easily. Big muff can sound a little thin for some, and I'm gonna fix that too, don't worry, but never muddy. It can be a little harsh on top end, and if you're, turning down the tone knob a little bit because you think it's a little thin, it gets a little muddy, I understand that. But generally, after you watch this video, I think you're gonna understand how to use big muffs, and I'm gonna give you a little tips in this video too, don't worry. But you're missing one of the most important elements in the mix. The headroom. Gilmour can do this because he's using a 100 watt insane headroom high watts. And I'm gonna talk about headroom in another video, but headroom means how cleanly you can amplify any given sound. It could be clean sound or big muff or overdrive, whatever. And you're trying to squash all that gain from big muff and you're using an overdrive after it, and the amp just caves in. It goes a little muddy. I mean, it can't handle it. Then you're gonna complain about getting muddy sound on low notes especially. I mean, maybe you can get a little bit more sustain, but the noise will kill you. Using a big muff and overdrive after it is not going to give you that sharper sound, even if you, use your overdrive in a very trebly setting. I mean, it can give you that bright sound, but it's not gonna sound like big muff at that point. When you think about guitar tones like Delicate Sound of Thunder, 2024 Circo Massimo, the late release, Live at Pompeii, or studio albums like Pigs, Comfortably Numb, On the Turning Away Sorrow, Dogs, Yet Another Movie, Terminal Frost, Young Lost, Hey You, I mean, the list goes on. For these sounds, no, David Gilmour was not using any overdrive in the signal chain. Any. Not before, not after. Let's face it, for studio recordings, let's say, he can already play with the mixing of the guitar. Why would he need another gain pedal just to have a little bit more present, let's say? I mean, he can just do it in the mix. To sum up, you might want to use an overdrive after your big muff if you're trying to get Gdansk tones or those muddy David Gilmour sounds, or mid-2000s. And even that, I repeat myself quite a lot, but even for that, you can just use a versatile big muff like Past FX Patriarch, no affiliations, and just increase the lows, increase the mid-range a little bit and get that tone too. And another important thing, I highly recommend you watch this video, but David Gilmour used an overdrive after big muff for Gdansk tones, and he might have used his tube drivers before his big muff for Pulstur, and that is a maybe. I mean, I'm not sure about that. What I think is David Gilmour used an EQ after his big muffs, and for some sounds, only some sounds, he might have used tube driver before big muff, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, at least I don't think you need it, okay? One other thing before I move on to my recommendations, you wanna sound like this. But you think you need a boost? My man, you don't need it, because even David Gilmour himself doesn't use it. He said that what I have been saying for years in Rick Beato's interview, that he wasn't using anything with Big Muff, not even compressor, not boosting, not overdrive, nothing. He's using his Big Muff with delay and lately with rotary and in the studio with rotary and doing some EQ on it, and that's it. So what I recommend for you guys to have the best Big Muff sound in your home or in your studio or at stage, whatever. One, don't believe you need to do that thing because that is a well-known fact, okay? Just try and experiment and see what works for you. I have spent a lot of times with a lot of Big Muffs, a lot of overdrives, boosting them, pairing them. What I've come up with is what Gilmour uses only works for him because of his picking style, how hard he picks and where he picks. I mean, if you pick close to the neck, you're gonna get a little sweeter sound, and if you pick close to the bridge, you're gonna get a little twankier sound. You, me, John, Jack, Martin, anyone, we all have different traits when we play guitar. And those little traits matter. You need to try different pedals, maybe different settings, and see what works for you. I mean, of course, you don't have to wander around and get a fuzz pedal for comfortably numb. It's not gonna sound good. You need a Big Muff and delay and rotary. But you need to maybe adjust the settings a little bit depending on how you play. And maybe you need to try a different, maybe a little bit more versatile, maybe a little bit more mid-rangey Big Muff, like this one, you know, rather than this one. Because this is a little bit scooped in the mid-range, and this has a little bit more mid-range. There are tons of Big Muffs you can try. I mean, Green Russian, Big Muff, Patriarch, Precision one from DevTech, Dark Side right there. Gas Giant, I did a review on it, Red Muck, Muffaletta, and the list goes on. There are a lot of Big Muffs that you can try. I don't want to do another shameless plug, and I'm sorry, but you can just go to my Patreon for tone guides. You can see the alternative pedals that I offer and see how they sound too, and maybe replace your pedal with something different. I mean, maybe you need to invest a little bit, or maybe you don't even need to. You can just, you know, adjust the tone knob a little bit. Second thing I want to mention, you gotta pick hard. I mean, that really changed my tone a lot. I am always against that toners in the fingers bullshit. You guys know me. Like, what? David Gilmour is gonna use it overdrive for time solo and it's gonna work? No, he is using fuzz there, and you need fuzz to sound like that. And David Gilmour needs fuzz for that too. That's why he's using it. But the way you pick really matters. If you're picking soft and a little weak, you're gonna come out as weak, and your Big Muff is not gonna give that scream, okay? And not just Big Muff too, your cleans or your overdrive sounds too. I mean, you gotta work on your playing a little bit, otherwise you're gonna think you sound weak because of the pedal. You think you sound thin because you need the boost. But that's not the case, and let's be honest with each other. You gotta practice more and more and more, and probably more. You don't need any expensive gear, you don't need that pedal or something like that. You just gotta practice more and more, just play more. Pick harder, place your finger better in the keyboard, and you're gonna sound better without changing anything, like not even the setting on the pedal. Again, I don't want to sound like an asshole and do a shameless plug, but you can just go to my Patreon and see how detailed I'm explaining everything, and you gotta pay attention to those details, okay? You gotta know when to use tremolo, when to use vibrato, when to do those pre-bends and everything. And the final one is volume. Everyone is talking about low volume and everything. Just watch this video if you think otherwise, but volume is a little bit overrated if you're recording. At least that's my experience. I mean, more volume will give you a lot more harmonics and a lot more feedback, and maybe it'll make you sound a little bit better too in your head. But when you're recording, I mean, it's not that important. Volume is not that important, okay? Headroom is important on the other hand. Again, I know you're typing your hate speeches right now. I know volume is important, but not that important. At least for my experience. Okay friends, hope this video gave you some ideas, hope this was helpful. I promise you most of what you learn come from your experience. I can only share you my experience and my way of doing it, but it'll only be a guideline for you, okay? You should take a little bit of responsibility. Maybe just go to my Patreon, see very extraordinarily detailed tutorials and tone guides and everything. I know, I'm just, you know, sue me, I'm doing shameless plug, but I'm just trying to help you. Work on those tutorials, work on those tones, and I promise you, you're gonna sound a lot better and you're gonna sound more like your guitar hero. Tricks like boost your big muff with this pedal or something like that, those come and go, but one thing remains certain. You need to work on your picking, you need to work on your bends maybe you need to work on your tone a little bit, and not just get a new piece of equipment, okay? I have been using the same overdrive Boss's Blues driver for years and years now. Some people enjoy it, some people think it's lacking something for their setup, and they're just changing something with one of the alternatives that I give. But I'm gonna give you great news. I'm here to help. Let's talk below. I'm pretty sure you didn't watch my boosting video. It's one of the best videos about the subject. Just check this video. And if you want to see my ultimate pick for the David Gilmour pedal board, where I get not almost every David Gilmour tone, just watch this video. I'm getting every tone from his first note till last. Okay? I'll see you in one of these videos.